Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And we're here with Kitty Norton from Wine, Women, and Dementia, the brand new movie on PBS. And I'm so excited to have you on your kickoff weekend, to have you as just this amazing voice for family caregivers. And so, Kitty, I know so many of us, as we watch this movie, they're going to say, okay, number one, what happened to these people? You feel connected to the people that we met in the movie. Tell us a little bit about the response from people and maybe what's next.
Oh my gosh, the response has been amazing. And I had to think about this for a while because I didn't really understand some of it, especially the in-person when I'm there and the show ends and the response is so kind of overwhelming in a way, in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized, the people in the audience, they're not the ones on screen. But this is your stories.
Yes.
And so many people say to me, that was last night with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what that woman was going through because
Absolutely.
that happened to me and my mom. It's just, it's the commonalities of both behaviors, things you're going to go through, and emotions you're going to feel. And so it's been very amazing to see caregivers feel just is celebrated and heard and seen, and that's been one of the coolest things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, super excited about the PBS. We continue to do community screenings. We're reaching out to a lot of the statewide organizations who run like the aging and disabilities departments and stuff like that because they deal so much with caregivers to, does your state want to take this film on and make sure it gets to all your organizations that need this kind of information getting to their caregivers? I would love to stay in this space. I would really love to take the blog and turn it into like a half-hour dramedy. Those stories are so personal and they're so visual. And sometimes I go back and read them and I think, this would be a really cool series. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That's a lot different from a documentary because then you've got, a lot of expenses and a lot of outlay. So I don't know. Maybe that's something I could do a pilot on YouTube or something and just see if there's interest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
I'm telling these stories.
And you have a filming background, and you actually left working for a show, if I seem to remember, to care for your mom. Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, I was working down in LA on NBC shows. I was an assistant editor, and I was working my way to an editor's chair. I was hoping in the next couple of years I'd get to edit films and TV. The last show I was hired on was the first season of This Is Us.
Wow.
So excited. But that was the July that my dad died. And yeah, so I had to give that up. And yeah.
It's like, your life changes in a moment. And I know for me, I lost my job because of the demands of, and a very important job that I had. But at the same time, in my world, they didn't get it. The workplace didn't get it. I think they're better now. I think there's more awareness. But at the time, there was just no compassion at all coming from the company that I worked for. And, I'll never forget, that feeling of, feeling like, oh my gosh, I just jumped off of a cliff. I have no safety net. I don't know what to do. I wasn't equipped for any of this. And, but what did it do? You and I both did something with that experience. I think that is so valuable for us. And I think we can be, help others, mentor others to take those experiences and make something, that you're, like you said, you were grateful for a lot of the difficult times, because it showed you the capacity of who you are. And you can't go through an experience like that, I don't think, without being changed internally in some way.
I
You
think
know
that's
what I'm saying?
yes, I think that's really common for the end of life journey. I think so many other um end of life diseases are already ahead of us.
Yeah.
Nobody's wanted to talk about dementia. Nobody's wanting to
No.
acknowledge it. But, think about, like Allison and I talk about this in the film. 50 years ago, nobody wanted to say the word cancer.
Yeah.
And that's different, people who go through with their child is born with these
Mhm.
diseases that they may or may not survive childhood, and then they don't. And
Right.
those people go back into that space because they want to make that better for the next parents.
Hmm.
I think three of us in the film, four of us in the film are still working in the space because we don't want to leave it
Yeah.
without giving everybody a heads up and a little push forward instead
Yeah.
of having to start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that in the socials, the millennials, they are not shutting up about it, and that's fantastic.
Not at
We
all.
have
It's
to,
like I told you earlier, my 27-year-old niece is like, I want to see this movie.
yeah.
And there's a millennial for us. She's totally dialed into, engaged, and wanting to understand. And unfortunately, the boomers and the Xers, they tend to have kind of shoved it aside. And my mother wouldn't even talk about it, greatest generation mother, so it's that type of a, like you said, it's an evolution of greater understanding. And I think as we're finding with clinical research, breakthroughs, things that are happening now, it's very exciting in the Alzheimer's space. And I think that's what's really, I'm optimistic about. So Kitty, one more time, how do we find your movie?
Go to winewomenanddementia.com and you can sign up on the newsletter and get all the latest information. You can also go to Answers for Elders, and you guys will have the information on your page.
Mm-hmm.
PBS Online and the PBS app. You can
Mm-hmm.
start watching the film as of November 2nd, which is a Saturday, and it will
Mm-hmm.
also be airing in markets around the country. So that's another thing that I have on the website is you can
Mm-hmm.
find your PBS station and see if it's airing in your market yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited because we just got OPB a couple weeks ago, and that's our market in Portland. So I'm like,
All right.
watch our show on TV.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And that's what's so exciting. And so, Kitty, I am so grateful that you joined us this week. And for those of you, it airs this weekend. So go to PBS Online or go to PBS. And thank you so much for being a part of the show, Kitty.
Thanks for having this. And cheers, caregivers. You need to be celebrated.
Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.